The increase in the number of elderly people in Brazil, until very little considered a country of young people, is starting to give way to another reality and brings awareness that old age exists and is a social issue. Aging, as a stage of life, in the view of many, is still marked as synonymous with disabilities, whether physical or mental, making the elderly unproductive in the economic and social field. Sexuality, when related to aging, translates myths and taboos. Society has a view that sexual practice in old age still takes place in the mold that when a person reaches old age, he is no longer sexual, resulting in the conception that elderly people are asexual people. Sexual activity for the elderly should be understood based on the principle that it comprises the totality of this individual and should be considered in its holistic sense, therefore, not only a biological factor, but also a biopsychosociocultural factor. At this stage of life, the body often no longer responds to desire, so sexual adaptations become necessary and help in the expression of sexuality in the elderly. Sex prejudice in old age is adopted because it is believed that the stage of experiencing sexuality is conditioned to the age of younger people. Considering sexuality in its name, it should be understood and explained to the elderly that even in the absence of a partner, the search for pleasure can be achieved in other ways, and that their sexual identity is not established by the presence of the other. The factors that can interfere with the expression of sexuality or the sexual act occur through individual, physiological, and social aspects, and despite the limitations that can occur in old age, sexual satisfaction can still remain. Difficulties in accepting sexuality at this stage can arise both from the lack of information and from the understanding that sexuality is restricted to genitality, a concept that exists among the elderly and society. Another aspect considered mainly by the elderly refers to body beauty, linked to youth, and that, due to advancing age, they do not feel attractive to have sexual intercourse. The steady presence of the partner is referred to as a positive aspect for the continuity of relationships. Given the advance of science focused on the sexuality of the elderly, the opportunity for encounters and relationships among this population has expanded. These new ways of experiencing aging seem to have an impact on the increase in cases of some sex-related diseases. Therefore, issues related to sexuality in this population, who are no longer concerned with contraception, are treated with less attention, wrongly. The health team needs to work to raise awareness of this population, considering the sexual life of the elderly as a reality, as well as their guidance on preventive measures against sexually transmitted infections, as this communication ends up impaired, increasing the number of cases.